This is amazing. Trump's team is finally in place and they're making big moves. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is already cleaning house at the State Department, according to a report. Next up is going to be the CIA, FBI, and NSA. Not only that, most of the people who were fired worked on the 7th floor. That's traditionally where all the bigwigs work, and now they're all out. Trump doesn't care what position you have. He cares about your work ethic and if you are going to get the job done. How else could he have built a company as big as he did? Great job, Rex. That's what we were expecting for so long. Now Trump should clean more the White House so there is not going to be more leaking. We look as complete amateurs and losers to the world when presidents' talks with world leaders are leaking out like candies. We are talking about our commander-in-chief. He should be protected under many layers of secrecy and professionalism. We have to stop the leaking. Trump team have to unite all federal government behind Trump so that he could focus on his campaign promises. Now he is being stabbed every day in the back, he is bleeding all day, this looks very bad now. Trump need help, he needs supporters in the government, and his enemies out of the government. President Trump is going to have this country running like his company. Are you ready for a government that actually cares about you? If so, please share this article everywhere on Facebook and like our page, Trump Theman. Another study says, when and if Rex Tillerson is confirmed as Secretary of State, he'll arrive to a mahogany row that is unusually quiet. On Wednesday, as the Associated Press and Josh Rogan of the Washington Post report, several top officials at the State Department resigned their posts. They include Patrick Kennedy, who had been the Undersecretary of Management since the George W. Bush administration, as well as Assistant Secretary of State for Administration Joyce Ann Barr, Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs Michelle Bond, and Gentry Smith, who directed the Office of Foreign Missions. Why Trump is keeping some Obama appointees around. Trump administration sources told CNN that the officials had been fired rather than quit. State Department spokesman Mark Toner, meanwhile, presented the departures as routine changeover. Longtime AP diplomatic correspondent Matt Lee points out that it's not unusual to have top appointees resign at the change of administrations. Rogan fills in some context. Kennedy had been working closely with the Trump transition team and had been seeking to keep his job, though his hopes were fading. The abrupt resignations at this stage in the transition seems to have come as a surprise. They are made all the more important because Trump has not made any nominations for state positions beyond Tillerson, to say nothing of hearings of confirmation votes. Early on, rumors suggested that John Bolton, the superhawk and former ambassador to the United Nations, would be named as Tillerson's number 2, to assuage fears about the former Exxon CEO's lack of diplomatic experience. But the Bolton trial balloon seemed to sink over concerns voiced most loudly by Senator Rand Paul. The need has perhaps lessened, as Tillerson's nomination, once viewed as somewhat shaky, has firmed up, with Senator Marco Rubio's support effectively clinching his confirmation. The resignations are not, primarily, a political story. They will further the impression among Trump's critics that his administration is a chaotic mess staffed, when it's staffed at all, by greenhorn newcomers. But the mass of voters don't tend to get all that excited about internal managers at the State Department, especially since Trump and other Republicans have spent years railing against bureaucrats, and particularly bureaucrats who served under Hillary Clinton. If you think Foggy Bottom has been a disastrous mess, then house cleaning might be a good thing. Kennedy's name is not a household one, but he did come in for harsh criticism in the House report on the September 11, 2012, attacks in Benghazi, arguably coming in for worse censure than Clinton herself. But someone has to run the State Department, to keep the gears of diplomacy turning, and Rogan reports that the latest resignations are part of a mass exodus of senior Foreign Service officers who don't want to stick around for the Trump era. In early January, the New York Times reported that Trump's team would not grant grace periods to any outgoing ambassadors, a break with tradition. A source dismissed concerns about their departures to Fox News, pointing out that many ambassadors are political appointees whose major qualification for their jobs was raising lots of money for Barack Obama, the number twos are career Foreign Service officers and more than capable of stepping into the roles. There are more pressing unanswered questions at the moment. Who will Trump and Tillerson tap to fill the newly opened spots? Will more career Foreign Service agents depart, hollowing out the department's operations? And will the State Department be prepared if a crisis strikes before those vacancies are filled?